Today's sponsor is Audible.com. They're a leading provider of spoken audio information and entertainment. Listen to their audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. You know, I do a lot of driving. I'm always listening to an audiobook, and I love it. I couldn't live without Audible. If interested, go to audiblepodcast.com/Lutz. audiblepodcast.com/Lutz. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz on 1590 WPSL. And this show is brought to you by Audible. You know I'm a big audiobook guy. I do so much driving, 20,000 miles a year, although since I've moved to warmer climes, that number's come down a bit. But between driving to the airport, getting stuck in traffic in Florida, which happens all the time, sometimes I just get sick of talk radio. I get sick of music, and I put on an audiobook, and I'm transported to another place, another time, and I just enjoy it so much. And I've listened over the years to hundreds of these audiobooks. Audible, by far the biggest purveyor. There's a guy out there I love, author named Lauren Robinson, LOREN ROBINSON. He does a lot of sci-fi thrillers, very unknown, time travel. I love his books. He's just incredible. He did one called Parker's Paradox, a whole series. He does these series of books. So, look, you can sign up there, 30-day free trial. You get a free audiobook upon signing up. Just go to audiblepodcast.com/Lutz, audiblepodcast.com/LUTZ. Sign up today. Today, it's time for another Triple Lutz report. This is episode 259. We're covering 2 points here. Little reader feedback to a somewhat crotchety listener out there, but I enjoy his emails nonetheless. And the other thing we're going to be covering is the potential exemption of Congress and the presidency and all of their staff and employees from Obamacare, from a major portion of Obamacare. But we'll talk about that more later. This one goes out to Brian Bloom. Normally I wouldn't use your last name in an email, but he's got a website called beyondneanderthal.com. He's a regular writer to the show, and he's always a bit condescending to me. Obviously, he's much more intelligent than I am, which plenty of people are. I don't have a problem with that. And perhaps he's just being Australian. I don't know. Maybe it's the Australian wit that I'm missing. You know that I love you Australians out there. So many of you listen to the show, particularly Dr. C out there. Shout out to you. The Silver Stackers and so many more of you. You know, I haven't made it to Australia yet, but I really do want to come down there. I've heard incredible things about it. Both of my daughters did a semester abroad in Australia. So just what Brian says to me here, and he's a smart person for sure. He says, regarding gold, I invite you to lock yourself away in your lounge room or study, switch off all phones and electronic devices, grab yourself a bottle of scotch, a glass, and a bucket of ice, and ask yourself the following questions. Now, first of all, Brian, I do drink scotch on occasion, but I'm a single malt guy, and I take it neat. Shaken, not stirred, okay? But really, I'm a cognac person. So I will, on occasion, sit back in my family room, turn off all the lights, and meditate and think about what's going on in the world. But cognac is a much better spirit for contemplative thinking, has been my experience. So the first thing, all dogma aside, why does a significant portion of the world's population value gold? Why does a significant proportion of the world's population consider gold to be a store of value? What is it about gold that makes it so desirable? And proceeds to say, well, it's always been sought after, it's always been a store of value, therefore it always will be. Feels good to hold, it doesn't tarnish. Sometimes it does, Brian. If it's got copper in it, it's 22 karat, it will tarnish. Trust me on that. You'll have some oxidation. It's malleable, ductile, and because it's rare, so what a lot of elements are. I mean, he goes on and on. And Brian, look, we can go back in history and try to figure out why gold has always been sought after, why it's always had value, why it's been used as money, and you could apply the same thing to silver as well. Mises.org has done a good job of figuring out why gold is money. It's not up to me to try to figure this stuff out, okay? The point is, it's money. Now, maybe you think that moon dust or moon rocks should be money, and maybe you're right. I'm not going to argue with you. What this comes down to is convention. And what is convention? Convention in the States here is we drive on the right side of the road and the steering wheel is on the left side of the car. Why should it be that way? Why can't we just drive on the left side and have the steering wheel on the right side like you guys in Australia? But I think you guys have it wrong and we have it right. Or maybe you have it right and we have it wrong. I don't know the answer to that. All I know is it's convention. It's convention, although it's rapidly disappearing, is when I see a woman struggling with packages, trying to get in a doorway, I hold the door open for her. Now, why do I do that? Am I hitting on her? Am I looking for something? Do I want a tip? No, it's common courtesy. It's convention. And I'll combine convention, Brian, with effectiveness. Okay? The most successful monetary systems in history have revolved around gold and silver and have worked best when gold and silver have been unadulterated and used as the coin of the realm. And the problems begin when government, the people, seeing that they can get something for nothing or believing they can, start to adulterate the coins and the system. Look, the U.S., the world trade from the 1870s to the First World War on the classical gold standard is a period of unheralded economic expansion, unheralded political stability, very few wars during that time, little affairs like the Russo-Japanese War, the Spanish-American War, but because gold was money, because you couldn't print gold up, there was very little mayhem of vastly inflating currencies to pay for unpopular wars. Happened from time to time. Wars, you know, in and of themselves are very inflationary because nobody since Napoleon wants to impose a tax on the population to pay for it, and the population doesn't want to pay for it either. So therefore, you have inflation. So back then, we didn't have it. Byzantine Empire, historically, 800 years, the denaro, gold coin, was the coin of the realm, and they had a stable monetary system until they started melting it down. Now, what you use for your currency, for your money, doesn't matter as much as your government not going into debt. The problem with the whole system is governments can too easily take on massive amounts of debt. Start small, a few billion here, a few billion there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money. But that's what happens throughout history. Governments run a tidy, a well-oiled economy. They don't spend too much. They don't take too much. And then somehow an event occurs where government's power increases, taxes increase, and inevitably when taxes increase, deficits will increase. Now, if you could construct a system where government cannot undertake debt except in the most dire of emergencies and then very limited amounts, then I think that it doesn't matter what money is. Okay? But the properties of money are, number one, it has a value separate from its value as money. Okay? So gold fits that. It's divisible. Certainly gold fits that. It's durable. It's portable. All right? And it's relatively rare. Those are the 5 elements. If you find something else that works, I'm all in favor of it. What I want to see is the government act responsibly. And you think that it's being facile to advocate a gold standard. Well, it's half of the discipline that the government needs. The other half is a limitation, a force them not to go into debt. That's what it's really about. Whether it's an amendment or something else, I don't care what it is, but government must be stopped from taking on debt in all but the most extreme situations. This is what Armstrong says, and this is what I believe. And you say, don't you think that society's problems are sufficiently serious that we need to look beyond facile solutions? And certainly they are. But a solution in this day and age requires creating a system that will work. And to create such a system, you have to go back in history and see what has worked and what hasn't worked, Brian. And paper money, fiat currency, combined with the ability to print up unlimited amounts of debt, has been proven over and over and over again that it fails. It can't do anything else but fail. So if you think you've got the solution, I want to see your solution. Don't tell me that gold is no good and that precious metals can't work. Let's see your workable solution. Maybe the solution is Bitcoin, where an external force limits the amount of Bitcoin that can be in circulation and everybody is forced to accept it. Well, I don't agree with government forcing you through legal tender laws to forcibly accept currency, right? I'm in favor of freedom of people working out through alternative currencies. And if they decide, if you want to take Bitcoin, if you sell cars and you're willing to sell them for Bitcoin and you feel the risks inherent in Bitcoin justify accepting it, take it. I don't care. I'm in favor of alternative currencies, and I think they have huge benefits for you. So, Brian, that's my answer to what you've had to say here. Stop being so condescending, like you've got all the answers. If you've got them, I want to hear it. You're 66, I'm 55. You got 11 years on me. I don't know that 11 years really entitles you to that much more experience and the voice of wisdom and reason. And I'm not, believe me, I love getting your emails. I don't respond to a lot of them. Most of you, I send emails. You send emails to me. I respond. Brian, I've kind of saved it up, figuring I'd address many of your concerns in one place. And I do want you to keep sending it. Look, if you disagree with me, any of you out there, tell me. All right? I don't want an echo chamber. I don't want a bunch of mind-numb robots nodding their heads, agreeing with everything that I say, because that's not real and that's not going to work. I really do appreciate your emails, Brian. And, I'd like to think that I've advanced a little bit beyond my most basic Neanderthal instincts, and that when I express a position, it's thought out, and I've considered exactly the things that you're discussing here. And if you want to send me a bottle of cognac, I'm open to it. My preference is Camus XO. Love the stuff. There's a bunch of different Camus cognacs. I also like Baron Otard. Two brands, sometimes difficult to find here in the States. So if you're sending me cognac, just look at the site. You'll see the address. Ship it off. I appreciate the email. And up next, we're going to talk about the alarming Obama exemption for Congress and the president that they're working on now. I want to welcome our new sponsor, Audible. I've been listening to audiobooks from them for over 5 years now. I am a huge Audible fan. In fact, I've bought multiple platinum memberships. Platinum membership, you buy 25 audiobooks at a time. I just got done listening to the first 3 or 4 books of the Jack Reacher series, the one you probably saw or maybe you didn't, in the theater, Tom Cruise movie. I mean, just a wonderful book, wonderful series, expertly narrated, and so many times I'm in the car, I get sick of listening to music or news or the radio. I just put my iPod on plays the book and makes that trip go by so quickly. To me, this is one of the great things of the information revolution of the internet is that you can get over 100,000 books on your iPad or iPod or iPhone instantly. Another thing that they have is courses on Audible, the Modern Scholar series. And I've listened to lectures about World War I, Shakespeare, nanotechnology, detective novels. It's so enlightening. To me, Audible is a must-have killer app for the iPhone, the iPad, for my computer, wherever I am. I'm always downloading these books. Like I say, they're a sponsor, so check them out. They've got a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial membership. Just sign up at www.audiblepodcast.com/Lutz, L-U-T-Z. Again, audiblepodcast.com/Lutz. Sign up today. Like I say, this to me is a dream sponsor. These are exactly the types of things that I like to pass on to you because I'm such a fanatical, over-the-top Audible user. 5-6 years I've been listening, hundreds of books. I used to think I was a well-read person, and it's a little strange when somebody asks you, did you read that book? And you have to say, well, yeah, well, somebody actually read it to me, but they actually did a better job than I could have, so I don't mind it. But my friend Sean Perger up in Vancouver, he listens to almost as many as I do, and he can't get enough. I know you're going to love this company, love their service. I do. So check them out. audiblepodcast.com/Lutz. And we are back. This is Triple Lutz Report, episode 259. By the way, it is April 25th, 2013. So something alarming, although nothing alarms me that the government does anymore, because I always think back to Will Rogers. Every time Congress makes a joke, it becomes a law, and every time they make a law, it's a joke. And here's yet another one. Supposedly, and this is in Politico, they're a left-leaning, anti-Republican site, so they might just be trying to tar Boehner with this, but congressional leaders in both parties are engaged in high-level confidential talks about exempting lawmakers and their aides from the insurance exchanges they mandated that you join as part of Obama's health care overhaul, a.k.a. Obamacare. Now, look, I don't like Boehner. I think he's a snake. He's crooked. He's a liar. And he just turns my stomach. But then again, I could be talking about any politician in Congress now, with very few exceptions. Supposedly he and that other snake, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid from Nevada, who's managed to amass a multi-million-dollar fortune on the humble salary of a senator since he's been there. And he's the senator from Las Vegas, which means he's the casino senator. But take that as you will. What they want to do is exempt the 535 lawmakers and thousands of their aides from having to purchase their health insurance through healthcare exchanges, which is what they passed Obamacare to do, which was going to save you so much money and make it all so much worthwhile for you being involved in socialized medicine. Not that we didn't have it before, but I don't want to talk about emerging socialism in medicine. Right now we're talking about this supreme act of stupidity. And if they pass this, this will be blood in the streets. This will be revolution. The nerve of these bastards to pass Obamacare for you and I, and then to exempt themselves afterwards, because the very reasons that make this thing a failure and that are going to ensure that it never takes hold are the very things they want to escape by passing Obama, by passing their exemption. It's just a complete outrage. I don't believe that even these Republicans are stupid enough to get sucked into this. I just don't believe it. But here's what they say, that by requiring lawmakers and staffers to join the exchanges, if it isn't revised, could lead to a brain drain on Capitol Hill. And look, the brain drain on Capitol Hill has been an ongoing phenomena. It's been going on for 200 plus years. And honestly, I don't think there's any brains left on Capitol Hill. So if they think they're going to pull this one off, they better think again. This will rile up the country. You know that close to 60% of the population hates Obamacare, doesn't want any part of it, and wants it repealed. So if they pull this, forget it. All bets are off. They will all be voted out of office. Nobody is going to put up with this. This Obamacare, told you for ages, is just the mother of all cluster you-know-whats. It's just going to it's going to cause single pay government insurance, and that was the intent of it in the first place, unless people get so angry that they demand its out and out repeal, and that Congress, the government, starts looking at real solutions to this problem. As Brian Bloom would say, we need real solutions to the healthcare issues, not these fake solutions. Government mandated healthcare, government mandated health insurance, all that stuff. Look, these guys, if they think they can pull this off, they got another thing coming to them. Steny Hoyer, he's worried about this provision because he says, a lot of the aides coming in, they make $25,000 a year. They're going to have to pay $7,500 for health care under these exchanges. This is terrible. We just can't let this be. And you know what? Let them do it, okay? Let them do it. The less people that go into Congress, the less people that wind up on Capitol Hill, the less aides these incompetents have, the better off we're all going to be. If it leads to 2/3 or 3/4 of their aides taken off, let it happen, all right? The less people there, the better. Let's turn D.C. into a ghost town. Anything that stops people from wasting their lives, ruining our lives in Washington is a great thing and should be encouraged. And if Boehner falls for this crap, then he is even dumber or more corrupt than any of you could ever believe. I mean, if you have to buy your health care coverage through an Obamacare health insurance exchange, so should they. Make them do it, because they need to personally experience the havoc and the damage that this bill is causing. And like I say, you've heard me say it before, I don't believe that Obamacare will ever be fully implemented. I don't believe that they're going to be able to work out all the kinks by the deadline for its implementation. They're going to keep putting it off until one day it's going to be repealed, probably quietly, but it will be repealed. There's no question about that, because nobody understands the system well enough to implement it. And there's not really one person responsible for implementing it. There's a bunch of people working day and night, coming up with new rules, coming up with these exchanges. None of it is going to work. This is why you need the free market to solve these problems. The free market is the only thing that could do it. And not just the free market for so-called insurance, the free market for determining who a healthcare provider is. And if you want to go to some guy who's a Haitian Santorino priest or priestess to solve your problems, fine, go do it. But don't ask me to pay for it. Same thing, allow more healthcare providers to provide services. Cut back on these ridiculous credential requirements. You heard the person we had on before. This is a big portion, a big part of the problem of why you can't get reasonably priced health care, because the government's paying for it, so there's no incentives to control costs, and there is no incentive to expand the supply of healthcare professionals, be they doctors, nurses aides, nurse practitioners, whatever. You need more people to provide health care at lower prices. These are high-paying jobs. Many people would go become nurses if they didn't have to do a 4-year degree. It used to be they only had to do a 2-year degree. And perhaps with internet learning now, that can be cut down dramatically. So many people who work for the armed services who didn't do all the education have got more medical care treatment experience in their lives than doctors out there. I mean, when you have a medic and some guy is really seriously injured, the medic does everything that a doctor would do. And yet you can't call that medic doctor because he hasn't gone to medical school or she hasn't gone and she didn't pass the tests. But to me, this is the ultimate proof that experience can account for a heck of a lot more than education. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to school and that doctors shouldn't have to have a certain amount of education. But look, you get out of high school, you really want to be a doctor. Why can't you just go to college for 2 years and then go to medical school for another year or so and then just work in a hospital or a clinic? Right now, you have to go the full 4 years for your degree. Then you got to go another 3 years. I don't so much think they have to do internships anymore, but they do have to do residencies, and then they go for a fellowship. So 10 years later, they're finally out there practicing. They've got huge amounts of debt. We need to cut down the educational requirements for doctors to the basics and also not have to train them in teaching hospitals. If you are in a farm community and you want to be a doctor, you make it through your educational requirements, why not allow you to go work in the community hospital nearest to your community where you can provide the best service to people who really need it? Instead, you have to go do a residency in a teaching hospital. All sorts of bad things happen, and you need to be able to do your residency, do your fellowship in the places where you're most needed, where you can provide the most value and help people the most. This is crucial. And if you want to learn more about it, hey, go over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Don't forget the mastermind, the Liberty Mastermind Symposium. All right? June 28th, 29th in Dallas, in the Republic of Texas. We've got Martin Armstrong. We've got me. We've got Robert Ian. We've got David Morgan. He's going to be there. We've got some people you haven't heard of. We've got a couple of mystery guests. And we're going to have Jeff Berwick there. We're going to have so many people. Michael Krieger, LibertyBlitzkrieg.com. He's also a frequent contributor to Zero Hedge. We just got a ton of people. We got Elijah Johnson coming. He's the 17-year-old that's smarter than Ben Bernanke. We got Chris Duane, the Silver Shield. Hopefully Gary Gibson's going to make it. Stefan Molyneux, Free Domain Radio. Bill Murphy over at Gada.org. John Rubino at Dollar Collapse. This thing is going to be amazing. Mickey Fulp, mercenary geologist. We got so many people coming, and we got a lot of surprise guests coming up. This is going to be an amazing thing. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com, click the link, or go to libertymastermind.us. Click the link there. Either way, you got to come. It's just going to be an incredible event. Oh, yeah, by the way, Andy Hoffman over at Miles Franklin, he's going to be there. We just got a lot of people coming, and it's going to be a great time. We're expecting hundreds of you to show up. So financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Don't forget, sign up for the newsletter, and the contest is on. Probably going to pick the winner at the conference. It's Kerry Lutz. It's been another Triple Lutz Report. Signing off. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, audiblepodcast.com/Lutz. Go get your free book. Get a 30-day free trial. You know that I love Audible. This is a sponsor. It's my dream sponsor. I've been doing it for so long. They finally discovered me years after I discovered them. But if you drive a lot, if you work out, if you just hang out and love books, go to Audible because it's really the place to go for audiobooks. Over 100,000 titles. So audiblepodcast.com/LUTZ. We'll talk to you again soon. Remember, go to our sponsor's site, audiblepodcast.com/Lutz. They've got over 100,000 audiobook titles. All the latest books generally you're going to find there. It's such a great thing. When you have a long car ride or you're working out at the gym, whatever. It's something that you'll really enjoy. I do. audiblepodcast.com/Lutz.